My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Alrighty, this is the entity that is psychotic. The Securitas, African American female with the mop on her head. The African American male, the homeless, that's outside, not looking for a job, not looking for somewhere to live, somewhere to go wash his behind, or over stalking me under the fake sun at what is 7:17 a.m. And the homosexual psychopaths of the military, the gang members, those thugs that are mentally ill, they're incompetent, they're exhibiting at while you're looking at in the images that I just captured and the audio that you hear of the entity stalking. And you can also see that elaborate demonstration of severe instability, which is the evidence that's going to result in involuntary commitments of the stalkers, who will identify themselves in court. They will produce their identities. They're being committed. The entity is stalking and doing so, and so is Paul Leon. He is stalking. The City of Ontario is stalking. The Ontario Fire Department, which is the City of Ontario, is stalking. The Ontario Police Department, which is the City of Ontario, is stalking. The Ceres Regis Group, MIG Real Estate, IG Partners, that's the Metro 102, 280 North Lemon Apartments, Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, Ontario Town Square Townhomes, they're all stalking. While the military is maintaining psychopathic pacing, that means plane after plane after plane, which I've been documenting since the 5 a.m. hour. This is 2 hours where the entity is engaging. Also, what you see outside of what's published on the website, where nothing here has anything to do with takeoffs from the plane, but that's just how secure and how thorough this evidence of stalking me as the military and those incompetent sex offenders are being discharged and they're being committed. The entity is gang stalking nonetheless at Ovid Family Community Library, and a bunch of demons are sitting around obsessing over me. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging that. There's a lot of fuel that's being wasted, a lot of time, a lot of money being spent, and that's also evident of mental instability. And I want to be clear, it's evidence of the mayor who was mentally ill. The entity that is expending this much resources on something that's already a lost endeavor at that, and it's being fully exposed in real time, they're not well. They are not well, they are delusional, and you need to understand what is being exposed while the entity engages in it. That's amplified plane activity in the same manner that is occurring when the entity is stalking by commercial planes. The same elements of monitoring by the same mentally ill demons who are stalking in the sky space. That is the ongoing exhibit of mental illness, just like UPS stalking by flying and doing a U-turn over the fake church on Euclid Avenue last night, and then doing it again over the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, which I captured on video. Those maniacal psychopaths are the ones being committed, and everything about what they're doing is fully known. They're literally going to be asked questions, the answer to which are already known. Their identities are going to be produced. They will be exposed to the public, and they're also going to be committed. This is the P.O.C. nonetheless. And it's not just the stalkers in the planes. You need to understand that the gang stalking company owners that are financing monitoring of this nature, those are maniacal psychopaths who are closeted homosexuals, who are demon-possessed gang stalkers that finance the pattern of conduct to be underway in Ontario. They are demons as well. They're mentally ill as well. It's not just the ones that you are listening to and looking at, stalking in the planes. They are showing you that all of them are crazy, because this is what they're doing in the library, pacing. This is what they're doing on the roads and the highways, pacing. Okay? Now, I have already documented my being on the highways in Los Angeles, driving by Mulholland Drive, where celebrities who are equally demon-possessed, who are gang stalking me under the fake sun, pacing. They're stalking, just like they are all mentally ill. And this is the categorical assessment based on the identical pattern of conduct. These are demons. They are all mentally ill. And they exhibit that as a society while they're stalking me in this manner with planes. This is the basis for martial law. And this is supported with facts. This is not what the demons who are mentally ill engage in, which is criminal defamation. And that is a backfire for failed witchcraft. In fact, mental illness. This is the P.O.C. Those demons are captured of the Securitas employee and the fat African-American that likes to show himself dancing and engaging in what is all manner of gyrating while he's being documented and going to prison. He's going in a straitjacket. That's the same mental illness. This is the same entity. Okay, these are not individuals. These are demons shattering all those illusions. These are demons that are obsessed with me. They're all stalking and they're all psychotic. No hyperbole. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:22 a.m. All right, that is the audible activity that is demonstrating mental illness. That is completed by the military engaging in stalking in unprecedented and unheard of ways that are proven, undeniable. And the entity is engaging in what is a U-turn over the Ontario Senior Center. And the seniors are also gang stalking with that military. They're all under a fake sun. This is the entity that's very much engaged in a criminal conspiracy together. They're all under that target, okay? That bullseye. I am the target. The fake sun is the bullseye. That's the entity that's engaged in what is exposing itself. These are the ignoramuses that tell on themselves under that fake sun. And it's the same overt confession when they try to cover up the fake sun after it has first been documented. Everybody already knows this is not the natural environment. The only ones that are delusional are the demons themselves. This is Securitas that's stalking. She's going to prison. That's the golf cart. She's going to prison. All right, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:27 a.m. City of Ontario's gang stalking crossing path. Under the fake sun, Securitas, the same two ragged demons, gang stalking, maintaining ongoing faithfulness to the criminal objective, and they're going to be rewarded with prison. Okay, that's called criminal summoning by the City of Ontario. That is indeed stalking with the military at the Ovid Family Community Library, and the City of Ontario is stalking in the path. You'll see the white pickup truck. That's the City of Ontario. That's the evidence of Paul Leon stalking at the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library, right in alignment to me, stalking in the path under the fake sun, while the entity is engaged in what is audible activity in relevant position, monitoring what I'm doing on my device, the siren sound at the moment that I began creating the May 14, 2026 playlist regarding evidence that is being published on YouTube. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in federal stalking. This is the P.O.C. You will also see the elders, okay, the elderly that are gang stalking. That's representing that population that's going to be homeless regarding the senior citizen apartment complex. That's the City of Ontario, the people of the state that are gang stalking together, which is in violation of federal HUD rules. And they will be homeless as a result, and they will be receiving no federal assistance like they are receiving now while they're engaging in domestic terrorism, which shall be recognized under federal law and federal housing policies. They are going to be homeless while they are gang stalking. The entity is engaged in monitoring on my device and doing so. Okay, that's the P.O.C. The same psychopathic pacing by planes. Like I stated, that is the entity that is stalking with the City of Ontario, and that's the City of Ontario confirming that for you. All of the same actors in relevant position, all these corporate entities that are being federally prosecuted, gang stalking with the ignoramuses who are a liability to them, which is why you don't engage in gang stalking in the first place. This is the P.O.C. It's justice while they go homeless. It's justice while they go broke. It's justice while they go to prison. It's justice while they are being committed. It's justice. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:59 a.m. Excuse me, 7:59 a.m. In case I said it's p.m. 7:59 a.m. Alrighty, it is currently 8:14 a.m. where the fake sun is in the same position that it is in the evening at the Ovid Family Community Library, where you're listening to plain activity and the admitted corruption and demonic conduct of that's speaking to corruption of the City of Ontario that's using a utility vehicle, license 1670873, stalking in the path with light, where they are also in alignment to me underneath the side of that walkway of the library. That's where the vehicle is in alignment to me under that walkway. The vehicle is a means of light activity. This is what you're looking at while the entity is stalking on the same Euclid Avenue in the evening, like I documented yesterday. And you're looking at traffic. I captured a video of the black vehicle that's parked at 1444 North Euclid Avenue, stalking with light. This is what the City of Ontario is engaged in. They're monitoring. Okay, and monitoring, the City of Ontario is monitoring in furtherance of murdering me as an entity. And this is relevant to Kevin, who was under the same fake sun after 2 p.m. at this same Ovid Family Community Library and committing a battery in doing so. And he's committing a battery with the same U.S. government that is below the state. And he's committing a battery because he's hostile while he's being documented as the stalker that he is proven to be, in fact. And this is an entity that is engaging in this conduct because they are first mentally ill, meaning they're demons. Okay? That's why you have what is, again, another lesbian. She looks malnutrition. She's stalking. All right, and she's stalking with the City of Ontario. That's public corruption. And City of Ontario and the people of the state are stalking with the U.S. military. That's public corruption. That's the conspiracy to commit murder. This is the P.O.C. The fake sun will now follow me into the city of Upland, where you're also looking back on this evidence, where the fake sun's over the Ontario City Hall, and it's also under the Ontario City Hall when I remain here into the afternoon and into the evening. That's the evidence of a mentally ill entity, of a mentally ill population who are going to be subject to martial law and involuntarily committed. This is the pattern of conduct. The city of Ontario is maintaining light activity around the perimeter. So they're on Euclid Avenue using vehicles as light activity. And this is enlightening you about the public corruption where the states are monitoring American citizens violating their privacy. They are in your home while they are maintaining that environment. They are monitoring your genitalia while you're in the bathroom, while you're in your kitchen and you're making eggs and bacon. You are under surveillance. And this is how that criminal system operates. While I'm outside documenting and prosecuting, I'm informing you about what you're subject to while you're in your homes where you maintain a constitutional right to privacy, but you do not in fact have that. This is the P.O.C, and I'm going to enforce my rights, my constitutional and human rights, which shall be recognized under the Constitution. Okay, and this is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:17 a.m. where Union Pacific is audible activity. That is impossible to hear. That's the Ontario King with that audible activity. That is the Ontario Police demonstrating demon possession. That is vehicle 1114. That's also not a coincidence. Demons that are obsessed with me, pay attention to all their confessions of targeting. That's a vehicle number that's relevant to my birthday. While they're stalking under the fake sun. It's also under the fake sun that's here after 5 p.m. That's a police department that's stalking. That entire department is being disbanded and they will be subject to what are mandatory mental examinations while you are wearing police uniforms to get away with stalking. That is highly malicious in order to commit murder. And that is the same pattern of conduct. If you recall, the Ontario Police Vehicle 1119 is stalking in the afternoon with the same City of Ontario, parking in the front of the venue in relevant position, looking like it's a movie, while in fact they're the ones being prosecuted. City of Ontario employee with the utility vehicle and vehicle 1119 admittedly engaging in criminal summoning at this same address in the middle of the afternoon. If I recollect correctly, it was during the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock hour. And you have the fake sun over me right now at 8:18 a.m. where their partners are telling on each other. The one that I documented in the afternoon is going to prison. And the one that I'm documenting right now in vehicle 1114, who is no mystery. The entity is going to be producing all of them. They're all going to prison, including the stalkers of the City of Ontario. That's vehicle 1670873. These are puppets with the demons of the Ontario Police Department who they don't protect anybody. They incriminate everyone. And it's the same with the military. They don't protect anybody. They incriminate everyone. And that's the entity engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. And these are the ongoing casualties of the entity seeking to levy war against an American citizen that is here to only prosecute. You're not sacrificing me. You sacrifice yourself. I'm prosecuting you. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:19 a.m. This is P.O.C. The entity is amplifying plane activity. This is vehicle 1127, Impossible Light. That's a female. Possible Light across the driver's side. 1706921. This is the same chicanery that the demon operating 1119 engaged in. While these are suicidal attempts. The entity is engaging in what is that pattern of conduct? She's going to prison. Her partners that's gang stalking in the afternoon. Well, yes, actually in the afternoon at Ovid, but also documenting 1119 on this same street during the 8 a.m. hour with the people. 8 PIM 400. That's prison license. 9 BSX 550, that's prison. And you're seeing why the Ontario police they're not going to be treated any different. There will be no driving privileges for the domestic terrorists, okay? They're being committed. That's a psychopath and that's a psychopath. Stalking, all right? Walking right out of the gang stalking venue. I'm prosecuting Sarah's Regis Group. Flying right over the gang stalking venue. I'm prosecuting Sarah's Regis Group. And those are the demons. These demons are suicidal, okay? Meaning they will absolutely engage in what is killing themselves, such as flying planes into buildings, flying planes into bodies of water, into mountains, and then it being reported to you as an accident while they're engaging in what is targeting even one person, okay? Killing themselves. That's what you're seeing illustrated while a demon is operating a police vehicle and she knows she's going to prison. They make those decisions and she's going to prison. This is the entity that's exhibiting mental illness while they're stalking and they are obsessed with me. So they expose themselves to that level of detriment to engage in what is obsessively stalking me. And they're stalking with the Ontario Veterinary Health Clinic. All right, that demon driving the gray Lexus, she's a stalker. I documented her before. She's at the Ontario Veterinary Hospital engaging in what is battery, criminal summoning. They're going to prison anyway. Ontario police who are engaging in gang violence, obsessing over me, sex offenders monitoring my vagina, are engaging in gang stalking with the people of the state. They have the same fate. They're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. All right, and this is a venue that is a gang stalker. Remember, UPS is telling on what Southwest Airlines is doing this morning. Under the fake sun, while I'm walking toward this same venue, UPS, which is a demon that's exhibiting mental illness shared by all of them who are stalking one person under a fake sun, and UPS is engaging what is flying over this parking lot and doing a U-turn over. That's the prosecution of the airline industry. While the City of Ontario is engaged, that's the prosecution of Polly on 1664463, I believe. P.O.C. All right, and this is what the entity is doing. Vehicle 1114 over here is stalking while the fake sun is over the library. It's on the opposite of the library. It's moving as I move. The City of Ontario vehicle that I document while the military is flying on the opposite side of this building where the fake sun is moving as I move. That's the evidence of the mental instability exhibited by the demon operating that police vehicle, and all of them that are stalking on the roads and the highways. They're going to be removed from the roads and the highways. You're not keeping a California driver's license. All right, and you are also not staying out of prison stalking as a police department, which is what Mike LORENZ is doing while those demons are operating police vehicles, gang stalking. It is currently 8:41 a.m. P.O.C. This is criminal summoning. This is federal prison for the people of the state. Ontario Veterinary Hospital. This is P.O.C. 62155. The employees inside of the Ontario Veterinary Hospital under the fake sun. That's over me here, where during the 7 p.m. hour, the Chevron employee, the ARCO employee are gang stalking with UPS. That's maintaining surveillance with the people of the state in the same parking lot. And that includes the people of the state that are crossing path right now. This is federal prison. License 9GVR029. License 9CUJ595. They're going to prison. That's criminal summoning. The Ontario police are facilitating it. She's going to prison. That's a demon. She's a psychopath. All right, and the veterinary hospital employees, the ARCO employees, the Chevron employee, that's Balbier. She's going to prison, and Balbier is very likely a candidate for deportation as well. All right, I already took pictures of those that are stalking. The entity is engaged in surveillance sitting in their vehicle. I took a picture of these license plates. This is federal prison. All right, this employee right here, employee of the veterinary hospital, that's federal prison. Gang stalk with the Ontario police, gang violence with the Ontario police, the employees of the City of Ontario, Brightview employees, federal prison. All right, they're engaging in criminal summoning together, gang violence, sitting in their car while the entity's sounding their sirens and stalking with lights. They're all engaging in what is that gang stalking conduct. Country Cuts Barber is an illegitimate business. They won't be able to compensate the damages, and you're talking about federal prison. This is the P.O.C. Everybody's engaging in this gang violence together. This is the entity. This is why the Ontario police is what Mike LORENZ is going to prison for. Alrighty, this is the P.O.C. This is criminal summoning. And this is committed in furtherance of murder. This is psychological torture. This is the same population that calls the police on you and makes up reasons for no reason at all, acts as well. This is the entity very much engaging in that pattern of conduct together. That is P.O.C. License 9RDL529. Alrighty, and that demon crosses path. Is she psychopathic pacing, just going around like demons. Sun, the fake sun, I'll attach that video. The fake sun is here. UPS is doing a U-turn over the downtown Ontario luxury apartments. The fake sun is over me after 7 p.m. where they all just engaged in that ongoing act of terrorism by the department that's committed a series of kidnappings in furtherance of murdering me and criminally defaming my character, which is criminal defamation that still remains on the internet while they are stalking, and they're mentally ill. They would be subject to, while you're looking at the elements of monitoring, it's the outward demonstration of mental illness. While you're looking at an entity stalking one person together, this is the mentally ill entity, and they're going to prison. Looking down, not saying nothing, not getting out of your car, federal prison, 7RYN683, including the employees inside of the Ontario Veterinary Hospital. The demon, Balbier, is inside, and also the ARCO employee whose license plate I have here. I have that on the record already. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 8:48 a.m. Criminal summoning. Alrighty, that video evidence of the people of the state and the city police engaging in gang violence, harassment, targeting together is the evidence of the absence of any immunities for the Ontario Police Department. They're not engaged in policing. They are engaged in stalking, and now they are engaged in, while they're on their heels, they're merely engaged in harassment because they have lost that endeavor to target in a malicious manner that's supposed to falsely depict my character. They are showing their true character, which is deranged, and they are every documented state actor that I documented, and they are on the play. This is YouTube 9 WKN 301, Stalking with Impossible Light, by the way, with that same department. And the entity that's engaging in criminal summoning under the fake sun, which is speaking to my being the target and not any legitimate emergency, while you're engaged in surveillance and you're stalking with a whole population of gang members who are sitting around in a circle, pacing all around me as I'm walking through. They're all in their cars, they're all surrounding the buildings, and they're pacing on the surrounding streets. And the people of the state are in their homes engaging in criminal summoning. So I documented a group of defendants, and they're all subject to federal prison. And this is speaking to what that department is engaging in and what any department is engaging when the military is stalking in that city. Okay, and not only that, this is speaking to there is no immunity. That this is already proven, but that's fine. I will do the work and prove with tangible evidence that you are not, in fact, subject to any protection under the laws pursuant to what those that are actually engaged in the execution of duties of officers are entitled to, such as immunity, such as even receiving what is the courtesy of being relieved from your job and still receiving any compensation. The entity is clearly engaged in targeting, and they are engaging in what is a sick means of deriving pleasure even to their own demise. These are suicidal, mentally ill, maniacal, highly obsessive psychopaths who are stalking, who are proven and known that everyone else knows. They know that everyone else is watching, and they still engage in that conduct. They are exposing themselves to further penalties, and the Ontario police decide to do so. That is also not evidence that they're not targeting. That's evidence that they're psychotic. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that. Stalking with the impossible light, stalking under the fake sun, stalking with the military. They're doing all manner of cartwheels and U-turns, targeting under the fake sun that's here. 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 hours later. The entity, that's the department. Mike LORENZ is going to prison. Derek Williams, he is the predecessor, he is the demon that is in the position prior to Mike LORENZ, maintaining the system, grandfathering in gang stalking as a department, and he's going to prison as well. He committed kidnapping. He went into Starbucks in 2020 and was mocking me when the appellate court in Riverside, the second district court, engaged in what is denying me my fundamental right to freedom of speech. And he found it funny, and that's the point in history when the Ontario police thought that they were getting away with harassing and stalking and monitoring, and they even stole the evidence of Derek Williams leading terrorism in that year, where the entity is stalking by helicopter at that Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard. Derek Williams is going to prison. You are not retiring out of any prosecution. He is still being documented. This is the exact same pattern of conduct. While I am prosecuting the state, even while the state evaded service of process, that was a prosecution proving public corruption. That public corruption in furtherance of murdering me, that ongoing course of conduct is underway by that same department that is gang stalking me this morning, while the Ontario Veterinary Hospital employees are targeting me with an Ontario Police Department who come around the corner, engaging in criminal summoning, because I am documenting you. Because I'm speaking to the fact that it is an impossible duality to have a soft, compassionate heart caring for animals when you are a maniacal, closeted homosexual conspiring and attempting murder while gang stalking with the government as a whole system, as a lifestyle. Those are the demons that are closeted, concealing mental illness. That's the one that's a homosexual and doesn't want you to know that they're gay. So this is why they marry someone of the opposite sex. But they actually have a whole other family that the rest of the public doesn't know anything about, and even their spouse that's of the opposite gender doesn't even know about, sometimes even to that end. That's the gang stalker that works for the veterinary hospital. Okay, the two are mutually exclusive. And while you're documented and you're hostile to that, the gang members of the Ontario police, the petty vagina monitors that would rather go to prison than stop stalking, would rather go to prison with the demon Mike LORENZ. They're going to prison for what I documented this morning by the Ontario International Airport. They're going to prison for that. These are gang members, and that is clear. What I want you to be clear on is not only is this department being disbanded, they are engaging in that which is speaking to policy. No gang stalking police department, which is what is happening throughout the entire state, while I am prosecuting, remaining in Southern California, and showing you the environment and the identical behavioral pattern by an entity that is also in Sacramento, San Luis Obispo, in Modesto, in San Diego, in the next state in Nevada, which is impossible to coexist. This is exposing the entire entity. The nation, being one person, subject to a pattern of conduct by a population, doing so with regard to prosecuting that, proving that, which is also established under the fake sun, because there's only one. That star, that gaseous ball of fire is exclusive, and they keep that gaseous ball of fire over me, which is how you know that they are indeed targeting throughout the entire state of California, while the Ontario police are the template for how you will treat any terrorist organization seeking to conceal itself as a police department. And where that has in fact been proven, meaning the irrebuttable presumption of public corruption is proven, meaning you're engaged in the pattern of conduct, you are stripped of any protections. You have engaged in what is terrorism, and no terrorist is protected with immunity. You will not be receiving a dollar. Your family will not be receiving any benefits. You will not be granted the ability, the convenience of leaving your job under any sort of private circumstances, concealing your reputation. You're not getting any of that. You're going to be treated like the enemy, just like Osama bin Laden. It's all over the news, the progress of the United States government against the terrorists that engaged in, according to the United States, that's gang stalking American citizens that engaged in targeting us. Osama bin Laden was targeting us in concert with the United States government. The demons that you see flipping over the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, that's exactly the visual, the optics of flying into the Twin Towers in New York. That's exactly what was happening. All right, this is the entity that's targeting together. No gang stalking police officer like the Ontario police are demonstrating and have been demonstrating. My name is on the internet right now regarding kidnappings that they are referring to as arrests, which are used to defame my character, which terrorists like Tracy Banks use to go into a gang stalking courtroom that is under the fake sun like Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, in concert with terrorists like San Bernardino County Behavioral Health, who are manufacturing information upon kidnapping with that Ontario Police Department, and the gang stalkers who are the people of the state to malign my character. And through calumny, they're engaging in what is stealing my money, my assets, my wealth, my identity, while they are engaging in this terrorist system, keeping you a prisoner until they physically capture you and put you into a facility. You have no protections under the law. You will be prosecuted as Osama bin Laden would be prosecuted. You're a domestic terrorist. You do not receive any benefits. You are not receiving any retirement. You're not receiving any 401k. You're not receiving a final paycheck. It is over. And the entity is engaging in this while they are gang stalking me, and you're looking at that petty engagement. She just pulled around the corner and turned on her lights. You see that fake sun progressing over me, and I went right around while you're engaging in that. I'm going to get everybody that's stalking around in relevant position. And you can see on the video, they're all in their vehicles, getting out of their cars, which is activity creation. They're not ceasing to monitor. They're engaging in activity creation while I'm documenting them. Because I'm moving around, they're still stalking even while they do that. All right, the entities engaging, and while others are remaining stationary, but they have to move around because there are roaches in the engineer light. They're monitoring, and the Ontario police are going to prison for it, and they are being prosecuted as terrorists. This is establishing, like I said, they're already convicted. This is establishing precedent, the policy of what are domestic terrorists, which are proven in fact. The people of the state will not be receiving any government benefits. You're not going to be identified as anything other than a sex offender engaging in terrorism with the United States government. And that's subject to what is deportation, mandatory, where that applies. Loss of custody of children, where that applies. And also being prosecuted as corrupt entities like Spectrum. Okay? Gang stalking, license 04144 Thomas 2, and molesting me with impossible light. With the gang members of the Ontario Police Department, and Spectrum is a corporate actor that's engaging in what is sexual assault and battery with regard to knowledge that they have a peculiarized means of prosecuting them on the internet, which is the case against Spectrum, and they are going to compensate me for gang stalking just like they are now. They're engaging in this with the Los Angeles Police Department as well, which is proven evidence that Spectrum is targeting, and so is the Ontario Police Department, just like the Los Angeles Police Department, in the same exact specific environment, which is a scientific impossibility that that will be the case, but that's exactly what's on the record, while Spectrum is gang stalking and testifying against the Ontario Police. Co-defendants that are put against each other with regard to what they are doing and what they are doing together. Alrighty, this is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's going to be prosecuted as terrorists, and terrorists are being stripped of any and all bureaucratic tape. There is no protection for the entity that is gang stalking, and that includes the Ontario Police Department. And that is making a clear distinction between law enforcement and domestic terrorism. And the Ontario Police are engaged in domestic terrorism. Recall that the entity is gang stalking, while the Ontario Police are engaged in criminal summoning, gang stalking, and harassing me because you're being prosecuted, you're being raided, and you know you're going to prison. Recall the entity engaged in kidnapping Edwards, a Casada, And the entity that is engaging in kidnapping, in other words, at 507 North Euclid Avenue, the Starbucks that's right here, where the fake sun's over. Remember, last night at 7, the entity is stalking. This is the same Starbucks right here at this same intersection at 7:15 in the morning. 7 o'clock in the evening is where Starbucks is also stalking. And on July 4th, 2025, same time of year. It's July 3rd, 2026. And the fake sun is aimed in perfect line with me inside of that cafe. And the Ontario police that are gang stalking me still a year later, and they know that they're going to prison. They're still stalking. Federal law, sentencing, damages, and federal charges are all cognizant, considering that, knowledgeable of that. That's directly relevant to the ways in which you're going to be prosecuted. They know that they are expecting to go to prison, and everybody else knows as well, but everybody else reasonably expects that. But the Ontario police, they know. And they're stalking. And they also committed kidnapping on July 4th, 2025. Pursuant to what is gang stalking by Starbucks, who engaged in criminal summoning, just like they committed right now. Turning on your lights, sounding your sirens. That's criminal abuse and misuse of an emergency vehicle, where you are incorporating your job as law enforcement, meaning you're trying to disguise yourself as a police officer when you're actually gang stalking. You're going to prison for that. And the entities engaging in what is harassing me and then summoning those gang members of the Ontario police who are psychopaths, who are already stalking, just like this evidence shows. And then Ocean is summoning them because I don't want to make a purchase, or so that's what she stated, because I have made purchases every day that I was there. And I very well could have gotten up and made a purchase, but for L. Edwards harassing me and refusing to answer my question as to why Starbucks needs to call the police for a customer that they could have merely asked, would you like to purchase something? You need to purchase something, which was clearly established for the entire month that I was going to Starbucks every single day. Ocean is a vagina monitor who's hostile. 29022 Uncle 3, crossing paths, sexual assault and battery with impossible light. All right, the entities, and that's at 9:03 a.m. The entities engaging in what is kidnapping with those same gang members, and Starbucks is a gang member as well. Starbucks employees are all going to prison, just like the Ovid Family Community Library employees are going to federal prison. Charlotte gang stalking this morning with the Ontario Police, gang membership. You're going to federal prison. Charlotte and her co-workers at that library committing kidnapping with that same gang that is kidnapping. They are doing so with the military that are providing evidence against all of them. Stalking me in planes and helicopters from city to city to city, under the fake sun, at night under the fake moon, under all circumstances and engineer light, in the specific environment. Understand what this is. This is the creation of what is federal policy. This is legislating around Satan. This is legislating around what are domestic terrorists. The domestic terrorists are demons. And they will be referred to as domestic terrorists because that's what this is. This is terrorism. All right, while they seek to murder and kidnap people and disguise themselves as police officers. Oh, you are absolutely a terrorist. You're a gang member, and you and your affiliation with Satan is going to result in what is your being federally prosecuted as a terrorist and being put in prison, stripped of any and all benefits. You will not be mistaken and poisoning the identity of law enforcement agencies and police departments that are not engaging in this pattern of conduct. It will not be acceptable under any circumstances, and that's precisely how it's going to be treated under the law in order to accomplish that. Okay? Vidco Foods is gang stalking. Go ahead and get that license plate. They're doing so under the fake sun. This is the psychopath, the demon that stops the truck right in alignment to me. This is the same P.O.C. This is the company that's gang stalking, while the demon operating that commercial vehicle is engaged in that pattern of conduct as well. Vidco Foods at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. I'm going to go ahead and capture images of it right now. All right, Vidco Foods, license plate, Indiana plate, 3868633, P.O.C. All right, they are stalking in the path while the entity traffic. Remember, this is the saying, you're paying attention, recognizing psychopathic pacing. All right, this is surveillance on the roads and the highways. This isn't traffic. That's why the fake sun remains over me, just like it was yesterday evening. Well, they were doing the same thing, the fake sun after 7 p.m. Remember, the fake sun's over me on this same Euclid Avenue where Vidco Foods is stalking. And they're engaging in psychopathic pacing on Euclid Avenue. This is not traffic, it is surveillance. Chevron, the employee is going to prison. His license plate is, let me go ahead and recite it in this podcast. Serially stalking by systematic engagement by virtue of being an employee. All right, ARCO is a gang stalker, and so are its employees. And employee number, license plate number 9 Thomas Indiana Henry 520 is subject to federal prison and potentially deportation if that applies. Balbeer is gang stalking at the Chevron. Serial stalker by virtue of the venue in the specific environment. Gang stalking with the customers. This is a RICO case. Chevron profiting off of surveillance. Engaging in criminal summing with the Ontario police who are incriminating everybody. And Balbeer is subject to prison for it. Another potential deportee. License 9 Edward Frank Henry 194. And the entity is, like I stated in the video that you can refer to yourself. I will remind you about what the military, in other words, is doing at 7 in the evening yesterday while I'm walking toward the venue that I'm walking away from now, walking toward Upland, California. Let me go ahead and grab that. I'm just going to keep the podcast running so you can listen to it. Chevron is gang stalking. That's a light activity while the military is stalking. At 7:47 p.m. yesterday. That is, again, the terrorist, UPS, being federally prosecuted. This is the airline industry that's being federally prosecuted, while UPS is the current actor within the entity that is gang stalking. Third-party facilitating the venue of downtown Ontario luxury apartments at 320 North Euclid Avenue. There are no planes coming from an airport headed to a destination with any passengers aboard that are doing a U-turn over that apartment complex that is filled with demons that are gang stalking, just like what I documented this morning. That Asian female who is likely a deportation candidate, because that's exactly what's going to happen to her and everyone in that same class of gang stalkers. This is the fake sun. ARCO and Chevron are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and Thompson Harvey is targeting with light activity, which is exactly what the Ontario Police Department are doing, using a police vehicle, stalking with light in the path under the fake sun, which is demonic. All right, the Ontario police are not just stalkers, they are mentally ill, and they will be subject to mandatory mental examinations while they're engaging in that, and they're doing so with the military, on behalf of the military, levying war, that is, engaging in terrorism, stripped of all benefits while they're prosecuted as terrorists in the United States, and they're going to prison for it. And everybody that's gang stalking, sharing in the elements of monitoring, in other words, in relevant position, under any circumstances, is going to federal prison with them. And that's how you prosecute gang violence. All the demons go to prison together. And I, in that video, documented everybody that's subject to prison. This is the P.O.C. This is referencing, you can look at that video yourself. It's captured yesterday. That is 2026-0702. And 1947-08, that's 7:47 p.m. And I'm at the same ARCO, Chevron, the parking lot area. I'm at the same location. You will see the fake sun, the amber colored fake sun, over the same person where the Ontario police are targeting me. And why are they targeting now? Oh, they're not targeting now because they're demons that are certain and under the false impression, because they're deceived by the devil, that they can accomplish a sacrifice, that they can get away with, that they have any authority to engage in what has taken my life, and doing so by stalking, monitoring, then causing me to lose my mind, and then successfully creating that illusion in what is a corrupt court that's going to disregard the laws and the policies with regard to what is the legitimate practice of law and the legitimate practice of medicine regarding diagnosing mental illness. But nonetheless, this is how an entity engages in this corrupt system, because my evidence shows that not only are they lying, but this is not how you practice law and practice medicine in the first place. No one is, under the legitimate practice of law and medicine, found to be mentally ill. Moreover, it's legally irrelevant. It's unduly prejudicial, while the government is proven to be stalking. But I will digress there. The entity's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are under the false impression before, okay? They're not under that false impression anymore, but they're delusional. You're dealing with a spirit that's embarrassed, and your embarrassment is why you're going to prison for potentially the rest of you're going to die in prison. That's what you're dealing with now. They're gang stalking out of what is being accustomed to getting away with it, and you're not getting away with anything. Oh, and you don't like that I'm dictating to you what's going to happen to you. You don't like the authority that I actually have that you thought you had. You don't have any authority under the law, in fact, but they abuse it. And you also don't have any authority in the spirit, and they don't like that either. These are psychopaths. Delusional, and they have been put in their place, and that's why they are still stalking, because they know exactly who I am, and they also know the authority that I bear. And it's also proven and manifest before you, because we are all obligated, in case you did not know, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, it obligates American citizens to do exactly what I'm doing. And it is, again, not not an ordinary person can endure this and also remain on the upside of the law. And that is also very human. I'm not advocating violence. I'm not advocating retaliation. But what I am stating is that it is a human reaction to engage in what is reacting in the anticipated manner where then they're going to falsely depict you as being mentally ill. No, you are reacting to an entity that is abusing you and psychologically torturing, stalking you, and is absurdly obsessed and psychotic, and they try to project that onto you. You are not mentally ill then when you engage in what is punching somebody in their face because they're gang stalking you. Okay? This is not about whether that's right or wrong. That's not what I'm speaking to. I don't advocate violence. What I am stating is that this is the entity that's corrupt, and they're targeting people, and once they target you to a point of being triggered, that's what they're using to diagnose the fact that you're a criminal or that you're mentally ill. That is not the practice of law. That is not a violation, in fact, of the a law by a targeted individual either. The government is being shown through the P.O.C. to be the criminal at the outset, and that is putting everything in its proper perspective. Okay, from the beginning, the government's leaving out the fact that they're stalking you and stalking and monitoring your vagina and your genitalia. Okay, whatever gender you are. They're leaving that part out while you are triggered to the point to where you knock somebody out that you know is a punk, because they're only feeling courageous because the police are outside willing to kidnap you for anything that they just make up at the drop of a dime. Okay, that's something that's going to want to trigger you to knock somebody up, because you know that you're dealing with cowards. That's why they're gang stalking. The Ontario police are not ignorant about my identity. And that's because they're literally stalking, but they're not ignorant about my identity with regard to the fact that I prosecuted them. I prosecuted them. I proved what was supposedly impossible. It's not impossible. Nothing is impossible with Christ, by the way. But I did that, and they're still stalking. And under the law, I'm going to prosecute for that. Okay? This is the P.O.C. Ovid Family Community Library employees are stalking with Starbucks. This is all symbolic. And it's also poetic, because employees of Starbucks are going to prison, and so is Yesenia, who's going to federal prison gang stalking by going to pick up a drink. This is the textbook POC with Starbucks, and she's engaging in it now under the fake sun. She is targeting me, in fact. And the calories that she does not need to go engage in what is monitoring me by going to get those sugary drinks that are adding to what is going to be high blood pressure while she's locked up in prison, not getting any exercise. All right, this is the POC. It is currently, by the way, 9:13 a.m. I'm going to go ahead and capture Yesenia's license plate. It's going on the record. Alrighty, Starbucks is monitoring. This is like what I captured yesterday. 7-Eleven employees going to the Upland Public Library gang stalking these demons that are all hostile, because I prosecuted all of them. I prosecuted everybody. I even prosecuted your employer. All right, and this is the entity that engages in that. Yesenia is engaging in what is gang stalking. She's conducting a transaction. Her communication device would prove that. Surveillance inside of Starbucks would prove that. The communication devices of all the people in the state that are monitoring would prove that. What they're doing on their devices is a matter of what the federal government has access to. Moreover, I'm documenting her. So this is an entity that is already surrounded with evidence in ways in which they have not considered while they're outside stalking me with impossible light activity. License plate 7 George Kelly Larry 680 POC. Yesenia is going to prison. Okay, Yesenia's over here at Starbucks gang stalking, and that's exactly what she's doing when the fake sun remains at the Ovid Family Community Library from sunrise until sunset, while she's a psychopath, not losing any calories while she's pacing around inside of that building either. Okay, she's monitoring. And that's the Ovid Family Community Library that is gang stalking. I'm documenting Charlotte this morning stalking, and this is Yesenia gang. Those demons are going to prison. POC. Alrighty, it is currently 9:14 a.m. That is the legal argument. This is the case against the entity, the state, the U.S. government, engaging in what is terrorism against American citizens. And this is terrorism that the United States government is to those that are outside of the U.S. Okay, so this is literally a human rights issue. All right, while the U.S. military is engaging in terrorism of those that are outside of the borders of the United States, they are not less entitled to human rights. And I can speak to that while I am an American citizen enforcing constitutional rights that they may not enjoy outside of the U.S. This is what the United States government is doing to those that are outside of this country, that don't have access to books and higher education and don't know anything about a constitution. Their government does not provide that, while they're teaming up with the U.S. that is targeting them, using their planes and their jets and engaging what is making money, while their family and their friends in their neighborhood are engaging what is targeting them. All manner of demonic means of attacking someone. This is what is happening internationally, and Yesenia is going to prison for it in the United States. This is the POC. It is currently 9:15 a.m. See, it is indeed Friday, July 3rd, 2026, and it is 10:07 a.m. And I'm capturing this screen recording because I'm going to give you another angle of analysis. This is the fake sun over me at 10:06. This is at the front portion of the building. You can see it while it's at the corner. I'm at D Street. I'm at this intersection right here where these demons are stalking. You know that they're all stalking because the fake sun is still over me at this intersection as I walk out of this same library after 6 p.m. And that's where you're prosecuting everybody, including a police department that's gang stalking, a fire department that's gang stalking, EMTs that are operating ambulances, psychotic people, in other words, that are gang stalking, engaging in what is public corruption, a population of people that are stalking, and that population is mentally ill. They're also surrounded by evidence. The fake sun that you see right here is indeed right here over me at the corner, okay? And so that's where Upland police are stalking. This is Marcelo Blanco's engagement in gang violence, not law enforcement, and they're being disbanded by virtue of the people of the state engaging in terrorism, and they're partaking in it. And that's also psychotic to be a stalker and doing so in front of the judge, where then you would be in a courtroom and everybody's anticipating you're not going to say a word, right? Because the entire time you were admitting that you were stalking and you had no problem with that. You were monitoring the evidence as a gang stalker, and I would suggest you remain silent in that courtroom. Just admit guilt, because you're going to be committed. This is the entity that is entirely psychotic and have not thought about and now have calculated gang stalking the federal prosecutor who's going to put you away, who is going to prove what you thought was impossible. Matter of fact, you didn't even think that it was impossible because you don't think at all. They're monitoring spirits. And I'm documenting a bunch of dummies. I'm prosecuting dummies. They're monitoring spirits. Nonetheless, the entity is under the fake sun, and I'm showing you where it's at. It's at the front, all right? The front of the venue, where you're looking as I turn, the fake sun turns. I've shown you this in my vehicle on the roads and the highways while the entity's gang stalking me while I'm driving, threatening my life in doing so. I'm showing you this while I'm aboard Omnitrans, while I'm in Tracy Banks' vehicle, and the entity is gang stalking, and you're looking at that which is not occurring with them. There's only one sun, right? So it's sitting here next to me. As I back up, that fake sun backs up. They're not experiencing the same thing. They're stalking. And the entity is keeping this fake sun as I'm approaching. Everybody inside of the building knows that I'm here. Everybody on the roads and the highways is targeting. That's speaking to knowledge. They know that I'm here. That's why it's here, okay? Covering it up like they did yesterday morning is the entity that's monitoring evidence. They're equally dumb, okay? They're going to be committed. Everything that they're doing is serving for involuntary commitments. It is inevitable, okay? This is the P.O.C, however, and I'm going to show you the fake sun that's then going to jump to be at the back of the library while I walk through this building to the back window, and you will see Molly's Cafe back there where the fake sun is not right now, but as it moves while I'm inside of this venue, which you know is still over me, while Adam Tuckerman and Alicia and Ashley are gang stalking me at the reference desk. Let me open this back up. Like you witnessed yesterday afternoon. And it's over the same, this is the corner that I'm sitting in inside of the library, right? Those are the 3 windows that I'm showing you. And you know, on the ceiling, there are windows. And you can see the light source. I mean, Adam Tuckerman, it's his fate that I prosecute him and that he go to prison for monitoring my vagina. With children at that. And this is that duration of time where you're going to prison. This is the entity that's also mentally ill. While this fake sun, as I show you, the fake sun and the evidence of stalking me under the fake sun, it's diagnosing the people of the state that are demons stalking me in white vans, okay? Gang stalking in the middle of the night, wanting to be next to me, wanting to breathe the air that I breathe. Going into the bathroom and monitoring my vagina. 90GQG74, okay? That's a Middle Eastern or a Latino male with a beard and an African American in the passenger seat. Monitoring, okay? This is the P.O.C. This is, while you're monitoring, you're stalking. So it goes hand in hand. The entity is stalking as a population. This is the fake sun that will then be over the front of the, over the back, which is impossible as well. This is, all of them are stalking while I show you what is indeed the fake sun. P.O.C. 9LOH900. 7BWR977. 8TIN357. Their turn signals, their signals, their brake lights, everything is light activity while they are stalking. Heavy duty, obsessive surveillance. And this population, the roads and the highways, they're monitoring my vagina, while then a sex offender, also under the age of majority, are going into the bathroom to keep me under surveillance. That's how obsessed MARCELO is. She's obsessed. She's a closeted homosexual. She's a demon. Okay? This is the entity that, you see that fake sun moving from the corner as I move? This is the fake sun moving as I move, and it will be at the back of the library as I go to that back, and I'm going to show you that. P.O.C. It is, by the way, 10:12 a.m. Alrighty, this is the fake sun. This is the Upland City Hall that's gang stalking. Alrighty, and this is the Upland Public Library. Both are identifying the city of Upland engaging in the conspiracy to commit murder. And this is the fake sun progressing not over the front of the building anymore. And this is exactly what's happening while I'm on the inside, and everybody in that building is engaged in psychopathic behavior. That mental illness, which is demon possession, is shared by even the babies that the demons create. Okay? It's just like maggots that give birth, they give birth to maggots. The demon possessed give birth to demons. Monitoring spirits give birth to monitoring spirits. This is the entity that is stalking inside of a library, a building. It's very psychotic. Good morning. That's Alyssa, and this is Alan that's monitoring. That's why he's blocking the path. He can barely walk. He's going to be limping in prison. All right, that's why he's standing there, just chilling. He's stalking, knowing that I'm outside in order to be in the path while he is going to prison for it. Absolutely psychopathic, obsessive behavior. Okay, this is the P.O.C, and that's the impossible that I'm capturing in video, and that is letting you know that Alan is a vagina monitoring psychopath. This is indeed the P.O.C.
You're gonna be
with minors.
putting down only this day. But
Right.
It's gonna be ours.
That's Alyssa. These employees are going to prison. This is the serial stalker. I'm documenting her stalking while I'm sitting in the corner, the one with the red head. She's a serial stalker amongst all of them who are stalking. And so is this one, serial stalker. Walking in the engineer light. The entity is engaging what is keeping the fake sun while I'm in the city of Ontario. And they're all together obsessed with me, where I'm going, as I'm going, what I'm saying, as I'm going to where I'm going. And they're engaging in that. That's the behavior of demons that are obsessed with you, your tone of voice, your demeanor, the way you even communicate, and everything that I'm doing is centering around prosecuting them. So these are demons that are now obsessed with their own downfall, their own demise. They're psychotic. This is Ashley, gang stalking. This is the P.O.C. You'll see it now at the middle of the building. This is all crossing paths, stalking in the building. They do so with their demonic children. It's creepy. It's not cute. This is the same location of the fake sun in the middle of the afternoon outside of this window. All right, this is the P.O.C., and that's distinct from being outside of that window where Alan is stalking in the path. That's psychotic, and that's a threat to me while they're engaging this in this building. These employees are going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:15 a.m. The stalker is going to the place where I typically sit as a means of harassment. They're both serial stalkers, and they're going to prison. Both of them. They're both documented serial stalkers. P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 10:15 a.m. While they engage in those methods of targeting, this is also relevant to the ways in which they're being prosecuted. They're also targeting my vagina. They are sex offenders that are going to prison. P.O.C. It is currently 10:16 a.m. Sitting in the location where I customarily sit is the entity that's also engaging in going to where I customarily sleep while you're obsessed with me. All right, that's what the entity is doing, where the military is stalking my planes and helicopters, going to the location where they're monitoring and stalking all night long where I'm sleeping. Those are the demons that are obsessed with me, okay? While they're harassing and going, oh, I'm going to go. Thank you, Elizabeth. Oh, you're on the job. Good job. While they're engaging in that conduct, this is the entity that's exposing. Oh, do you have any study rooms available real quick?
Yes, but I need to run something upstairs.
Okay. I'll wait, but I'd like a study room. Okay. So the entity that engages in that this is the same conduct sitting in the seat where I sit. And the entity became, again, enamored with that position when I started sitting there. And what do you see when I'm sitting there? The fake sun. This is the entity that's showing you how obsessed with they are and what you know about them being sex offenders. They're obsessed with my vagina. All right, and you're just looking at sex offenders that are obsessed. When you're looking at the physical, oh, this is a Middle Eastern man. This is a Chinese man. This is an Asian female. This is a teenage Caucasian child obsessed with my vagina. All the same, they're demons. And this is the entity. This is when you're getting beyond the physical and you're looking at what is the spiritual while they're engaging in that pattern of conduct, which is supernatural. Okay, so the fat, lily white woman that is gang stalking me is engaging in that same sexually violent pattern of conduct as the developmentally challenged client of O Park that is gang stalking me, that can't even formulate sentences, as equally obsessed as the African American male that you would assume is interested in me only because of my race. And you are missing what's going on. And those are the assumptions that Satan wants you to rely on. These are demons. And under the law, none of that matters. The entity's been engaging in corruption based on them controlling a narrative, and they don't have any control over anything. They don't even have control of their mind or their genitalia. Okay, so thank you, Elizabeth. So they're engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they operate with illusions, that which your mind is preconditioned, and that old white man isn't stalking her. He drives a Maserati. Well, I mean, look at, she's sleeping outside. Who was stalking? That's exactly what Satan wants you to think. And meanwhile, that old white man is conducting sex rituals, is paying and financing the government to keep me under surveillance, is obsessed with my vagina, is making money off of trafficking me on the internet. And all of this is that which you cannot associate with him, while a network engages in concert with the local government and the U.S. military. That old white man that drives a Maserati that you don't know is demon possessed. Okay, this is the P.O.C. This is the pattern of conduct, and it's satanic. The entity that is engaging in that sitting where I'm sitting, it's because I just made another embarrassing point regarding that fake sun that's over that corner, and then I'm showing it at the back. And when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. When I say something is the case, I prove it. And when I say that you're going to prison, that's also happening. But the entity is engaging in that while they are seeking to do exactly what they do at nightfall. And it's a product of obsession. It's all they're doing is showing you how obsessed. This is still a prosecution. While you're engaging in it, those are the petty demons that are embarrassed because you're obsessed with my vagina. And when you are a female, that makes you a lesbian. Okay, you're gay, you're homosexual. And that is of a spirit, by the way. There is no race with regard to demon possession. Satan does not have a race or a gender or an income bracket. All of these carnal means of creating a hierarchy and statuses so that Satan is far removed from anything that you would think he would even remotely be engaged in. It's all farcical. Every single last person, the celebrities, the politicians, they are very much aware of who I am based upon what is the inability to use witchcraft on me, the inability to intimidate me. Why would I be, first of all, I'm not scared of somebody that is stalking me. I'm not scared of a bunch of people that feel more comfortable together stalking me. And I certainly do not fear the enemy. This is an entity that's engaging in what is cowardly and what is to never, ever be mistaken or misconstrued or even spoken of as conduct of those that are referred to as elite. No, it is not, and it never was. This is and those are demons that are out there promoting that. This is an entity that's full of ego. That's the ego that's putting them in prison. That's a police department that's stalking when they know they're going to prison. That's that ego that's referring to itself as elite. There's nothing elite about being in filthy bathrooms and monitoring my vagina. There's nothing elite about stalking at 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning because you want to breathe in my air. You just want to be near me. That's how obsessed with me you are. There's nothing elite about that. That's pathetic and desperate. You're a loser. And you're talking about even outside of gang stalking, that desperation is very unattractive. All right, this is an entity that's engaging in that sort of behavior, and this is an entity that is showing that they're obsessed while both of those serial stalkers are stalking inside of the library, and that is shared by the entity. They are all engaging in that same conduct as one. In that same corner, they're letting you know that they're gang stalking. That's where the military was stalking me by helicopter, that black helicopter that flew over that corner, where that fake sun was over that corner, that fake sun that's still over that corner at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, where I'm documenting both of them under that fake sun. This is an entity that is monitoring my evidence, and it is always self-detrimental. It's always that which is exposing themselves. It's always serving a concession and a mission in court, which they know nothing about. I'm prosecuting the inferior. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:23 a.m. at the Upland Public Library. P.O.C.